The Octuptarra droid was the only battle droid with a 360 range of fire, and you probably remember them from watching Revenge of the Sith, and just this thing comes out of nowhere, which, by the way, is 2/3 the height of an AT-AT, and turns out these guys were a nightmare for the clones deployed as a last-minute death machine in some of the final battles of the war. Today, I'll explain why some of them are huge, while the other models are pipsqueaks in comparison, all their insta-kill weapons, and let's not forget that some of them were equipped with rockets and deadly viruses too.
I thought they smelled bad on the outside.
This droid was produced by the Techno Union and was actually named after a species on the planet Skako, where the Wat Tambor species lived, called the Octuptarra, who were 8-eyed, gas-bag-headed vine walkers on the planet. The Octuptarra Tridroid, however, had 3 legs below their large heads that had the cognate modules and sensor suit, giving these beasts higher intelligence. Also, they were basically a cousin to the dwarf spider droid, and also counted as a 4th-class battle droid walker, which meant it was highly intelligent and skilled in security and military positions compared to other droids of the army. And basically, there is a scale of different classes of droids throughout Star Wars, but all you really have to know is that this guy is not the same as an astromech droid. Crazy enough. Also, the Octuptarra, like I said, had no blind spots pretty much because of the 3 red photoreceptor eyes surrounding its stalk that let them look in all directions at once and ensured any sneak attacks from clones behind would result in failure.
Oh, this is going to be easy.
Also, these machines were armed with 3 rotating laser cannons that had an omnidirectional field of fire. And yeah, I do really enjoy acting like I know what all of these words mean because, to be honest, I don't. And in case it wasn't enough, the central stalk would spin around and lock onto targets to pose an even greater threat. So that would be very scary to go against for sure. Kind of like the title of the video. And of course, their hydraulic legs were great for climbing steep surfaces, which makes these already overpowered kids take them to the next level. But while these scaling legs were great, they also served as the primary weakness, with them being able to topple over if even a single leg were damaged. And also, they could be tripped relatively easily due to the slow speed and maneuverability of the Octuptarras. Also, some of them could be equipped with biological plagues in the bulbous heads that would wreak havoc on the enemy even after they were mostly destroyed, because of them being airborne, and this gave the Octuptarra Tridroid the nickname of Virus Droid. And remember that one questionable guy from the Clone Wars? Well, I wonder why he didn't just install some of the Octuptarras with the blue shadow virus. That would have been mad devious. Behind the scenes, the Octuptarra was made in concept art for episode 3 by Ryan Church, where it's seen in front of a fiery background, which is presumably a battlefield. We see the Octuptarra with a large head, a laser turret on the bottom, and saw-like feet that might themselves be weapons. Also, in some Clone Wars concept art, we see some sketches of them that actually better reveal the blue engine we don't see too much of otherwise. And in Revenge of the Sith, 2 models of them were made, a smaller version, which is seen many times at Utapau in the background, as well as a scaled up version of that one with minor changes for the Maigito scene later in the film. And speaking of the 2 models, it's time to break down why there were randomly 2 sizes of these and what their differences were. On one hand, the Octuptarra Combat Tridroid was 11 feet tall or 3 meters with highly mobile chassis, which made them very agile compared to the other models. Looking more into Legends, however, for the Combat, aka the smaller variant, we can find that the multi-jointed assemblies allowed them to change directions almost instantly when firing rounds at the clones. Also, after the Battle of Coruscant, some of these droids fell into the under levels, causing strains of the virus that leaked out, affecting avians, which is basically just birds. And of course, something like this would randomly happen in Legends, knowing Legends. Also, lastly, for the little guys, The planet Uba 4 had a factory of them that lasted beyond the Clone Wars. The Octuptarra Magna Tri-Droid, on the other hand, at 49 feet or 14 meters, was primarily used for artillery and was skilled at taking out clone vehicles like ATTEs, or even just mass groups of their forces if unprotected. They could also have their laser cannons replaced with chain-fed missile launchers, or as they're called in Legends, heavy ordnance launchers. The big model could also hang from vertical surfaces, could fire from extended ranges, and was nearly impossible to approach without being mowed down. Also with them, their ammunition fed into their heads, where it was stored for the long battles at hand. And you can pretty much just imagine it wrapping around in there. I mean, I'm not saying that's how it looks, but that's kind of my hypothesis of sorts. Don't forget, however, some of the other unnamed variations of these guys, like the ones on Skako Minor, which had an engine on its waist, which created enough thrust to allow them to hover far above the ground. And I kind of thought this would be the last droid you'd want to hook up with a jetpack, but leave it up to the Separatists to be genius as always. And like I said, many of the smaller variants had their own virus installed models too, which named or unnamed equates to 4 different variants of these killing machines. Even though the bulk of them were produced towards the end of the war, even as early as the Battle of Christophsis in 22 BBY, some of the large Magna droids were made with Anakin and some of the Torrent Company clones defeating them. Also, many of these guys guarded the Separatist deflector shield in the city of Caledonia after this deadly part of the battle. Also, before the battle, Ventress hopped on one of these droids when escaping Anakin and Obi-Wan, which crashed down after the Jedi cut its legs off. But this was a great shower of their ability to climb up steep surfaces, like even this building here. But also note that unlike the ones we see in the movie, all of the Octuptarras here were painted blue, which could either be to disguise in Christophsis, or because of the fact that the Clone Wars many times transitioned much of the Separatist forces to a blue color scheme for whatever reason. However, of course, later on in 19 BBY, when many of these were deployed, more is the city of Perkle, where some of these jet-boosted ones I mentioned were guarding the Techno-Union holdouts, where here Rex and the Bad Batch would eliminate some by shooting them in their red eyes, and Anakin would prove how easy to knock over they are with limited legs, and Wrecker would hold one of the legs of a droid up from crushing an ally. Also, droids of both variants guarded General Grievous's headquarters on Pao City at the Battle of Utapau, where many of these can be seen in the background all throughout the scene.
You're never gonna find me. Hide and seek, close your eyes and try and find me. I'm watching you, close them.
Lastly, at the Battle of Maigito, some of these guys are present too, but most notably is the one who got probably the most notable Octuptarra moment in history, and that's not something you hear every day. Octuptarra moments of history, but hey, there are a few, I guess. This droid fires a missile in a close-up shot that then blows up a UT-80, which flips the tank upside down. Also, a little bit of a fun fact is that when Ki Adi-Mundi is about to charge out into battle again, you can see a downed Octuptarra head resting on the ground, which probably provided cover for the Republic forces seconds earlier. Also, I found a really dope video on YouTube posted by Lego, which shows a group of 212 clones as well as Commander Neo on Maigito, where they are clearly fighting a horde of Octuptarras, and I must say I love seeing something like this from back then when they were still using the prequel's music and characters and locations. It just really feels like something they don't do under Disney anymore. And there's also the possible connection that these droids were designed as a reference to War of the Worlds, a movie that also came out in 2005, and would make sense as it was directed by Spielberg, who is the friend of Lucas. My last random fact is that, in case you didn't realize from the clips I've shown, the Octuptarra Tri-Droid also appeared in the 2003 Clone Wars at the Battle of Coruscant, where they have, as expected, a different look with solid laser beams too. But anyway, that's it for this video. You can subscribe if you want to. There's also a join button, which is completely optional but would truly help me out and the channel if you want to do that. Also, I'm doing a face reveal at 10k subs, so spread the word for that, I suppose. And these types of videos come out every Friday at 5 o'clock p.m. Eastern Standard Time, and I also post shorts on Saturday. But yeah, see ya.